A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. Animals, whom we have made our slaves, we do not like to consider our equal. Man tends to increase at a greater rate than his means of subsistence. The love for all living creatures is the most noble attribute of man. My mind seems to have become a kind of machine for grinding general laws out of large collections of facts. I have tried lately to read Shakespeare, and found it so intolerably dull that it nauseated me. On the ordinary view of each species having been independently created, we gain no scientific explanation. A scientific man ought to have no wishes, no affections, a mere heart of stone. I am not apt to follow blindly the lead of other men. The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us, and I for one must be content to remain an agnostic. Intelligence is based on how efficient a species became at doing the things they need to survive. I love fools' experiments. I am always making them. I love fools' experiments. I am always making them. The highest possible stage in moral culture is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. This preservation of favorable variations and the rejection of injurious variations, I call natural selection or the survival of the fittest. One general law, leading to the advancement of all organic beings, namely, multiply, vary, let the strongest live and weakest die. If the misery of our poor be caused not by the laws of nature, but by our institutions, great is our sin. The survival of preservation of certain favored words, in the struggle for existence, is natural selection. I have called this principle, by which each slight variation, if useful, is preserved, by the team of natural selection. Man tends to increase at a greater rate than his means of subsistence. To kill an error is as good a service as, and sometimes even better than, the establishing of a new truth or fact. Besides love and sympathy, animals exhibit other qualities connected with the social instincts which in us would be called moral. Great is the power of steady misrepresentation. I see no good reasons why the views given in this volume should shock the religious views of anyone. A moral being is one who is capable of reflecting on his past actions and their motives, of approving of some and disapproving of others. We stopped looking for monsters under our bed when we realized that they were inside us. What a book a devil's chaplain might write on the clumsy, wasteful, blundering, low, and horribly cruel work of nature. The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us, and I for one must be content to remain an agnostic. Man is descended from a hairy-tailed quadruped, probably arboreal in its habits. I am turned into a sort of machine for observing facts and grinding out conclusions. How paramount the future is to the present when one is surrounded by children. It is a cursed evil to any man to become as absorbed in any subject as I am in mine. A man's friendships are one of the best measures of his worth. I see no good reasons why the views given in this volume should shock the religious views of anyone. Everything in nature is the result of fixed laws.